thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you being here. This is Cindy. She's the leader of DarkSky Texas, which was formerly known as the Texas chapter of DarkSky International Association. She's a founding member of several Hill Country Night Sky groups and a Hays County Master Naturalist. That's an awesome program. I love the Master Naturalist program.
Me too.
She has 25 plus years experience as a lighting consultant and a dark sky advocate, and was the key player in positioning the city of Dripping Springs to receive the prestigious International Dark Sky Community designation, the first in Texas, and has assisted numerous other international dark sky place applicants in Texas. That's really awesome. In 2019, Cindy was awarded the Crawford-Hunter Lifetime Achievement Award, the highest honor that DarkSky International bestows on an individual who during their lifetime have contributed an extraordinary amount to the effort of reducing light pollution.
And I asked if I could retire after that, and it was no.
We need all the good ones we can get. So without further ado, everybody welcome Cindy.
Okay. Thank y'all. I really love being here with this group. This is great. I appreciate it. So, he told you who I am and that I'm also a master naturalist. And, he's right. It's a great organization. We can spread the word well. But also, I'm a member, and I didn't list this, I guess, of Austin Astronomical Society. And I will have to credit my husband with that. He's the astronomer in the group. I'm the carnival barker who says, come look at Saturn, come look at, this. So I can run the star parties and take out the lights, and he'll generally run the telescope. But that's another group, and all the astronomy clubs around the state are fabulous. Today, I want to walk you through a lot of reasons why we should have better lighting, why we should have dark skies. And, you guys know why we should have dark skies, but I wanted to give you some other reasons, because there are times that you are talking with people who are not as attuned to the benefits of the dark sky as you are. And this will give you just a really good, group of reasons, because you'll hopefully know that person or that group well enough that you say, I think they will care about this part of it, because it's a win-win. You know that. I know that. It's all sorts of good reasons, but some people will care about some of the reasons more than others. So you can see where we're going this evening, and I'll let you know for each section. First, I want to introduce you to DarkSky Texas. We have been accused of being there to take people's lights away. We are not there to do that. We promote better outdoor lighting. People need some light, even when we're out there with their telescopes sometimes, before we've adjusted, we need our red lights, right, to keep from tripping or wherever we're walking or things that we are doing. So we need to promote better outdoor lighting, and our motto is better lights for better nights. You can read the whole mission there. But we are the statewide organization. We're all volunteer. I will tell you, we are starting, we've been working on starting a big donation drive, because we have developed so many educational materials and programs that we can reach out to businesses, to groups statewide, etc. But we need to have funding to be able to do that. And so if you know anybody who could, help write a big check or a small check, we will appreciate it very much, very much. So, DarkSky Texas. If you join DarkSky International with a Texas address, you will be a member of DarkSky Texas. You can also go to our website and just put join, and that will take you to, be added to our list for our newsletter. And you can say, hey, I want to volunteer, and that'll put you on our volunteer list, and we'll tell you about volunteer opportunities. So that happens statewide, and we support groups in, that are local. We share information, things that one group does. We say, all right, we kind of generalize that and share it with people all over the state. So we have we've been there to support almost every one of the 24 designated international dark sky places in the state. You guys know what light pollution hopefully it is. That stray light that we don't need, too much light, that type of thing. But these are the components. We got a little graphic that illustrates them. Love the guy with the little, yikes, my eyeballs. Glare is such an issue. Nobody likes glare. And yet they think, the lighting manufacturers have told me to put up this big, quote unquote, security light. You can think of them as insecurity lights. And they blind people, and then you're not as safe. They blind people and they can't see what's going on a property with those big lights. It's just not as safe. So we've got glare, sky glow. We've got a good example of sky glow there with the red sky, light trespass, and clutter. And we'll talk about each of those a little bit. So, why should you and I put this non-astronomy neighbors care about light pollution? Let's back up a second and think about a time that you were under an especially dark, beautiful sky. You can close your eyes a second. I'm not going to let y'all go to sleep. Close your eyes a second and think about how your body felt. How did your body react to that? Did your breathing slow down? If you really relaxed under that sky, you may have been excited working your telescope, but if you just enjoyed the sky a minute, actually, that dark sky at night can affect you physiologically. Every cell in your body can react to that, and we, rebuild our immune systems. We'll talk about that. But remember how that felt. You can open your eyes now, but think about what humans have done under those stars for years. What have they done? Told stories around the campfire. We got a picture there.
Good time for gathering.
Say again?
Good time for gathering.
Yes. Yeah. We did our calendar, from looking at the stars. Early agriculture was set up based on the stars. Think about our art and literature. Humans are used to be so connected to the night sky, and so many of us have lost that connection. We'll talk a little bit about, why it's important for humans, but we'll also spend time, talking about all the other living things on this planet that need that darkness. So, okay, we love our night sky, but this is what's happening to us, and that's scary. Dark skies are disappearing. They're saying that we are losing it more and more every year. At this point, it's actually more than 80% of the world's population does not experience a natural night sky. More than 80%. And even, the ones in that 20%, a lot of those don't get that really good night sky. Well, let's look at this light that would be kind of a normal one that contractors, and I won't pick on them too much, but people hang on their outside of their houses. That's just a regular old spotlight, that people put up. Does that make you feel safe?
It makes them feel safe.
It makes them feel safe. It's a feeling. It is not being safe, because, if you, instead of putting up, just having that light glaring, if you shielded that light, you might see further than if you just had that light coming at you. Go back. Can y'all see him? Yeah. He was there, But the glare makes everything else look darker because the human eye just like the camera did, adjusts to the brightest thing around. And once you do, then everything beyond that looks so much darker than it actually is. So when we put up bright so-called security lights, we are actually causing very dark places where somebody with ill intent could hide.
Cindy?
Sir?
Does your website have those two pictures? I think that sells that point very well.
Yes, we do.
These pictures
Yes.
specifically on the web?
Yes.
Cool.
I can walk you to it if it's under, it's under our about with, why do dark skies, and this is one of them. Safety and, security, you're better when you can actually see. So we have those two. That takes care of our discussion about glare, which is one of the components of light pollution. We know about sky glow, we deal with that. And you know that it's enumerated by the Bortle scale. We would all love to be in a 1 or 2, but unfortunately some of us live over to the left some. But sky glow. I should mention when I'm talking about sky glow that DarkSky Texas has a relatively new program where we're having people with sky quality meters take those readings and enter them into our database. We can take either the continuous read ones, which is what we have most of, but we can take handheld readings and we enter them in the database. We've got a dashboard where you can see those readings from all over Texas. But light trespass is our next topic. The building on the left is across the street from the building on the right. The building on the right has 0 lights on. Can you imagine trying to, sleep in some of these bedrooms in that house? That is an issue that we have all across Texas. And one of the things we have on our website under projects is an invasive lighting database that we are gathering information from. So if you know a place where lights are trespassing onto other properties, if you take a picture of it, you can submit that. It will show on the website not anything about who submitted it. It will show the photograph you submit and the county that it's in, pretty generic. And let's see, whether it's residential or commercial or public owned, the lights that are trespassing, and approximately how far it is from the property, where the picture was taken. Now, you think, okay, what's that going to do? The reason that we're doing that is so that we can gather this big database from all over the state and talk to state legislators about it and say, look, this is a statewide problem, because they don't allow unincorporated areas to regulate outdoor lighting, and most of Texas is in unincorporated areas. In fact, the last legislation that went through was limiting even most cities in whether they could control outdoor lighting or not. But what we want to do is sit down and say, hey, this is a problem, let's talk about how to solve it. And we have a solution, but we need to be able to negotiate and have that data. So if you know any instances, enter those, please. Okay, moving on, we talk about all the wasted energy, a part of light pollution, and we've got figures here about how much is wasted per year in the United States alone. Anytime you have light that's coming out from the sides that is not targeted, like the one on the right where the light comes down onto the property that it's intended. When you have it coming out to the sides, you are wasting about half of that energy. When we've got photometrics that will show that when you shield it, you can have the same amount of useful light with half of the wattage that you would have when you're doing, like LED to LED or incandescent to incandescent, etc. When you're talking about the same type of lighting, then you can cut that wattage in half. When you do that, you're cutting your electric bill in half. That for running that particular light. So we can save energy when we follow the principles we'll be talking about. We all know what light clutter looks like. It's ugly. Again, if you're talking with people, that may be something that's important to them because it's harder to see. Definitely harder to see. All right, so we've talked about what light pollution is, why you should care, as well as DarkSky Texas. We're going to talk about the beautification benefits of dark sky lighting. We showed the light clutter. If you don't have that clutter and don't have that glare, you can see better. It's just easier and can make the town more attractive. You look at glare with these street lights, and then if you have this type of light that is shielded, directed, and in fact these are on motion detectors, and if nobody's there, they're over in an area where if nobody's there in the middle of the night, they turn off. Anybody gets close, they'll turn back on, you can see. Another example, this is actually a school with some big honking lights coming off of it. Very hard to see, dark places because of the bright light. And then here's another school where they've got warm, shielded lights. That looks so much more comfortable to me and welcoming. So these are the types of things that some people it'll catch their ear and help you teach them about better lighting. Health and conservation benefits. We're getting to some fun things here. We're going to talk about people first. The benefits of better lighting at night to human health. Even the American Medical Association is concerned with light pollution. All of us need to have natural light during the day and natural darkness at night. That's the way our bodies work and the way that we are most healthy, to have that circadian rhythm going every day. So what happens if we get all this artificial light at night? We have shown through exhaustive research studies that the white lights, especially at night, reduce our sleep times. We have sleep disorders, depression, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, etc. It doesn't cause those illnesses, but it keeps your body from protecting you from them. When you are around natural darkness at night, your body produces melatonin. You've heard of that to help you sleep, right? You go on a long trip, you got jet lag, you come home, take some melatonin, get yourself your circadian rhythm back in sync. Well, that melatonin, when it's in your body every night, which it should be, it not only helps you sleep better, but it rebuilds your immune system every night. It's a precursor to serotonin in your brain. So it kicks off all these chemicals in your body that help keep you healthy, that protect you from these diseases. Do you understand the difference between causing those diseases and being there to help protect you from it? So melatonin, being in the darkness, helps protect you from those diseases. In fact, there are studies that show that when you have melatonin in your blood at the level it should be during natural darkness, that it stops the growth of most cancer cells during that period of time at night when you have all that melatonin in your blood. There are cancer medications that they give you specifically at night while melatonin is helping to tap down the tumor growth, and the medicine can work better. So, there are lots of issues that we have with our artificial light at night, and especially with light in the blue wavelength. And you think, oh, I don't have blue lights at home, right? I'm surrounded with white lights. Well, many of you may be familiar with these, but let's pass these around. I'm going to let you look at some lights. Yeah, just grab some. So we get these on. Oh, absolutely. You got to get a picture of the people in the room, though. Yeah. Okay, now, if you look at, see, I could see the light from the projector, But even if you look at the screen, you go see it a little on each side. What do you see? I tell you, we could even turn the lights on for a minute there. Turn them on for a minute. Okay, look up at these lights. What do you see on either side? Rainbows. What are you seeing? The full spectrum of light. Okay, if you get out, this is always a killer. Yes. Okay, so look at this light. Very intense rainbow, right? Okay, this light from, and most LEDs have very intense light in that blue wavelength, that part of the spectrum. And that part of the spectrum is the most efficient at stopping you from producing melatonin. So when they talk about light in the blue wavelength or blue light, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about this type of thing. Now, what we're going to do for a second is turn off the lights again. We've all seen our rainbows with the white lights. Okay. Now, being astronomers, I'm going to start with this one. What do you see? Red. Who uses that? Exactly. And I also point out that they'll use it in like submarines, and that'll be all the light that's down there, and they see fine. Dark rooms for photographers, and there's no light in the blue wavelength in those. So when you're around those at night, they're going to slow down your melatonin, but they're not as efficient as light in the blue wavelength. Check out this one. What colors do you see on either side? Yeah, red, yellow, and I see green. Okay. All right, this is a regular bug light. It's not a party yellow light or this one either. The ones that are labeled at the store like party, red lights, they have that full spectrum of light. Y'all probably found that out when you're looking for lights for an astronomy field. But this is a bug light. So think about that. Think about why bugs would not come to that blue wavelength. It's the blue wavelength, that draws them in. So this, I'll turn those off. That is one of the ways that I personally help protect myself at home. And we're doing our little demo here. I have lights with bug lights, like in my bedroom, and at least one of the switches in the bathroom turns on just a bug light. So that if I get up at night and really need a light, I don't have exposure to the blue wavelength. That's a personal choice. What I also have to remember, those of us who have little, like to get up in the middle of the night and go to the refrigerator maybe, do not open that door, because in seconds to a minute at most, it will stop your production of melatonin. Y'all can just pass those back up as we go. But it'll stop your production of melatonin with that light with all that blue wavelength in it. And when you shut the door and turn that light off, you will slowly start to produce melatonin again. The problem is, you start down at the bottom, at 0, and you were, say, on a chart way up here, and then you go you open that refrigerator door or turn on the light, white light in the bathroom or wherever, boom, you're down to not producing any at all. You get back in the dark, you can slowly start producing a little bit, but you never get up to the level that really protects your health again that whole night. So you kind of wiped out your melatonin. Question?
Yeah, I was unclear about what you were saying. The yellow bug light, when you shine that and you can see the rainbow, does that mean that it's in the blue light?
No, you didn't see a full rainbow. You saw red and yellow and green, but no blue. Okay. It doesn't have any light in the blue wavelength in that bug light.
Bug light is good.
A bug light is much better than a white light. But any artificial light will slow down your melatonin production, but the bug light won't kill it like a white light would. All right, so we do that and we say, okay, so how does the blue light affect our sleep? I think we've kind of talked through that. It disrupts our circadian rhythm, suppresses our melatonin production, and we need it for all of those good reasons for our health. So that's for us personally as humans. Let's talk quickly about the things for all other living things. And it's not just animals, but it's plants too. Light pollution impacts wildlife with their daily cycle and their annual cycle. You know, there's an annual cycle of, we know this, brighter days and longer length days in the summer, shorter in the winter, etc. So all of these processes that they deal with, navigation, migration, predation, communication, reproduction, we're going to hit on those. The daily cycles, we talk a lot about Lights Out Texas, about protecting the migrating birds. The birds that are here all year round need our protection too. We need to do better lighting all year round. Because look at these percentages. You're saying, what is that? Well, these particular families of birds, you know, we've got our pigeons up there, they at night, they drop their metabolic rate about 20%. All the starlings, etc., that family of birds, when they're resting at night, if they're in darkness, they will drop their metabolic rate 50%, and that lets them rebuild their immune system too, so that they stay healthy. We go, through the titmice and all the way up to the hummingbirds that go into torpor. You may have heard that. They drop their metabolic rate 85%. But they don't do it if they are around a lot of sky glow or artificial light. But for them to be healthy, every bird that's here all year round, they need that natural darkness. That light pollution affects annual cycles. Think about, what the deer do all year round. Do they say, "Whoop, it's October. What are we going to do now? Let's go have a little fun." They don't say, "Whoop, time to go into rut." It's based on the number of minutes of daylight and the number of minutes of darkness. As little as 1 minute from one day to the next can trigger the hormones that make them do that, can trigger the hormones later that tell them it's time to grow antlers. All of these processes that they go through throughout the whole year, and it's not just deer, all living things do that. Our trees, they don't just say in the fall, "Whoops, let's give it up on the chlorophyll." It actually starts right after the summer solstice. They start changing their chemical in it. We don't see it until fall. We say, the leaves have turned. They started that after midsummer based on a little bit less light. And we've got some pictures elsewhere on our website, I think, but if not, we should get it there, of a tree where we've got a street light on it, and the part with the street light on it still thinks it's summer because it gets light all the time, and it still has its green leaves, and the rest of the tree that is above the street light has dropped its leaves completely. It's a deciduous tree. It needs to be dropping those leaves to be healthy, to go through the process that it should be. So all of these things, look at bud burst. That may be an unfamiliar term. That's like in the spring when the trees bud out, when the flowers bud out, that type of thing. They're showing that starts as early as 7 weeks earlier than it used to, and they're triggering that partially on light pollution. One of the things that I think is real interesting about trees, we may talk about later, but it's when the tree is around artificial light at night, the leaves get tough. And when the leaves get tough, the insects don't like it. And the insects need to be there for the birds. We'll talk about that too. So we have all these changes. So better lighting helps birds navigate and migrate safely. We have, again, the lights out. I'm sure you've heard about that. When that's advertises as from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., I want you to know that birds actually start migrating after dusk. The reason that's set at 11 p.m. is so that we could get businesses on board with the program and into it, and then once they're into it, we can say, by the way, let's do our lighting better all year round. And then in migration, if you can tone it down, you know, all of the night would be best. So these are issues that you know, the birds have. There's also the dynamic between predator and prey. You know, there's quite a number of prey that won't go out during the full moon. Well, what if artificial lights make it like the full moon all the time? Then, you know, their predator can see them, and it changes that balance. We've got that dynamic. Fireflies. Oh man, I grew up with fireflies all around me. In North America alone, there are like 165 different species of fireflies. Every one of them has a different blink. You know, it might be a long blink, might short blink, you know, blink, 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 and you know, within a period of time. They'll only mate with the same species, so they look for that blink. Well, if all of our lights are confusing them and they think, oh, there's a, you know, is that one over there? They can't see each other to, as I tell the younger kids, to make a family. So, you know, you change your language for different groups. Y'all know what's going on. Those fireflies can't find each other to mate when we have so many artificial lights on at night. And fireflies are dropping in numbers significantly. We talked about insects. There's a huge impact on insects. You can read this quote from the Biological Conservation magazine or publication. It's a research publication talking about the issues with insects, that they have, the numbers of them have dropped significantly, and they say light pollution is a huge factor in that. Well, who needs insects? Our birds. And that's one place we can capture a lot of people, because a lot of people love their birds. And they think, well, you know, oh, birds eat seeds, right? Birds have to have insects for parts of their life cycle. When they're molting, when they're doing other things within their, you know, life cycle, they have got to have insects, the protein from insects. So plant those native plants and cut off the lights. All right, what if we woke up one morning only to realize that all the conservation planning that we've been doing over the last 30 plus years has been looking at only the daytime things and not considering the important functions that happen for every living thing on this planet at night. We've got to realize that. All right, so we worked out most of our way through this. Let's talk about some of the economic benefits of better lighting. That's what's going to grab some of your people that you talk to. You know, you can have nature attractions at night when you have better lighting. You don't destroy the insects, etc. You can do that and attract tourists. We're going to talk a lot about tourists in the next section, but I'll show you this picture again, remind you just how much money is spent on wasted light going over the place. So, you know, you can look at this and think about which light is wasteful. Y'all know the answer. Is it this one? No, over there, light's spewing everywhere. We don't need to do that. We can use about half the light over here on the right. When you've got like low level canopy, under canopy lighting, you can see beautifully. Saves a lot of energy there. Notice how warm it is too, that yellowish color. So, economic benefits. Let's touch a little bit about astrotourism, because you might see it bundled as, you know, people talk about ecotourism. Well, ecotourism at night is mostly astrotourism. So we've got this low impact, sustainable tourism. You've got tourists who spend the night because they're here for a nighttime program, and they spend more money. A study by the National Park Service showed that when you get people here for nighttime programs, that they spend 2 to 3 times more than your tourists that come through for the daytime. All right, so we've got stargazing, we've got, all sorts of things. And Texas has a lot of advantages. We've got our, parks and naturally dark skies, within some driving distance. I know everybody says, oh, let's go out to McDonald Observatory, but we've got some decent skies that aren't there. And I know that on DarkSkyTexas.org, we've got a whole blog post on places other than West Texas where you can go and get some dark skies. And I've been doing this a long time. There's a lot more people who are into kind of saving the night, of reducing light pollution than there used to be. So let's talk about that astrotourism, so to speak. You can use this type of infrastructure, which we generally have in the area, guides, maps. You guys have astronomy equipment. Think about the star parties you hold. You're doing it right there. You're drawing in people. There are accommodations nearby. People will say, I don't want to drive all the way home. I'll stay here, spend a little bit more money in town. And it helps people be encouraged to protect the night sky. Of course, astronomy type of viewing, y'all know all about that. I don't need to go there. But you can also have events, just a nighttime program where you have tourists out there. They stay longer and spend more. You can have guided nighttime tours, whether they're seeing the sky or whether they're doing something else at night within the community. I know we had work with Bat Conservation International, and sometimes we'll do a bat tour at night. You're drawing in people and getting them to stay there. So just any sort of nighttime experience, just telling stories under the stars. People love this. They'll come and do that. Teach people how to take night sky photography. They don't have to necessarily have top of the line equipment. I've seen classes where they say just bring your iPhone and we'll help you with it. Trail lighting for night hikes. This trail happens to be on National Park Service property, but I know that some of the trails in Austin, they're using this true amber lighting, and it's so comfortable to walk in. We had a tour of some of it, and it was just, people were just like, oh, this feels so, you can see well, you don't have bright lights in your eyes, but it's illuminated and you are comfortable doing that. So hikes. Then there are places that are building moon gardens where there's so many flowers that bloom at night and tons of pollinators at night. You have really curated lighting on it so that it picks up the colors of the flowers and lets you see them, and have some little amber lights on your trail, and you can have people go to moon gardens. There's just a ton of things you could do at night. I know another thing I'm going to get a picture of soon at the Master Naturalist conference, but we do black lighting, put up a white sheet, and all the bugs come to it, all sorts of critters come to it, and you can take black lights and look at them. It's lots of fun, and people will, it's amazing how many people will come to that. All of our astrotourism, love the star parties, but you can extend that and do more. Well, how do we get this better lighting? Let's wrap it up with that. We've got these 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting. They've been agreed upon by the Illuminating Engineering Society. That's the professional group of lighting designers. So the professional group of lighting designers and DarkSky International have agreed that these are the principles that should be followed for outdoor lighting at night. And they are in order of importance. We're going to talk about each one, and if you need them, you can download this card from our website and the resources. I also have some cards if anybody specifically wants to share with a neighbor or whatever. First point, Every light needs to be evaluated to see if it's useful. Why is that light there? What's the purpose? And I keep thinking I should change the wording up here and say useful, ? Not. I mean, I think this light was put up there before the porch was added or something. I mean, why do you light the roof? Low. Huh?
That's where the electricity is.
That's where they ran the electricity. Yes, somebody said, oh yeah, they'll need a light up here. Not. So, is it useful? Every light should be evaluated for that. The second thing is to target the light so that it goes where you need the light and not out to the sides or up and down. We used to say, just turn the light down, have it below the horizon. That's not what we say anymore, because research has shown that light 15 degrees below and above the horizon, that light coming out to the sides, a little below and a little above, creates more sky glow than light that shines straight up. Think about that. What happens when it just gets in the atmosphere and is reflecting off of all the, dust particles, etc., in the atmosphere? And it goes on and on and on. Have you ever looked west when you've been at McDonald Observatory? Do you know what you see out there? El Paso. What, a couple of 100 miles away? Somebody's paying for that light to come 200 miles and hit your eyeball. They're paying for that. Whoa. Why? And it's not just there. I mean, that's just a great example, because you can say, where that light's coming from. If I can see that sky going, then that light is coming to my eye. So let's start putting our lights where we need to. We have found that putting it down at an angle of about 75 degrees works for most places. Having a shield all the way around the light, 360 degrees, that puts it down about that angle. If you install the light right on the property line, you may have to have it, cut off less than that to not trespass on the other property. But in general, that's what we find, that you can use that angle. So the third is no brighter than necessary. I used the example of under the pumps on the service station. That needs to be brighter than a lot of things, because you're dealing with a highly flammable fluid. Then you've got the example around this, just commercial building, actually at Dunkin' Donuts if you need a donut. And it's very soft lighting. The camera didn't quite pick up how light it was. Neither did the camera pick up the fact that from those pumps all the way over to where I was standing to take the picture, it did not look dark. The camera, I'm no professional photographer, so I'm sure a professional could have adjusted it to the way that your eye really saw it, because all of this cement looked, almost as light as these tables do. I could see beautifully. So you adjust the amount of light to what's needed and turn it down as low as you can. That's a third principle. Fourth, only use light when it's needed. If a person is not there, it won't do any good. Turn it off. It will not stop burglars. It will not stop mischief. It will just waste electricity. We'll do motion detectors so that if somebody comes, the lights will come on. So use motion detectors, use timers, use an old-fashioned switch, and have the lights off if nobody's there, and they can come on if somebody comes. Okay, so fifth, use a warm color. We looked at the temperatures, and really that box is shifting to the left. We're going 2,700 and down. Amber is starting to be preferred. There are cities that are, like Flagstaff, Arizona, that are saying, You know, unless you have a really good purpose in having whiter lights, then we're going to amber. All along the Florida coast, you'll see amber lighting everywhere. If it's not amber, you better cut it off or the light police will come get you. And you can see beautifully with it. So those are the 5 principles. You can make a difference with your lights at home, with the lights at businesses that you can have influence on, with your community where you talk with your city officials. So I'm going to challenge you to modify any lights that do not follow the 5 principles. If you do follow the 5 principles, you can get, and we have signs twice this size if you want, you can get the Be a Star Award. It's a self-assessment of your property. Just go under our programs on our website, down to the Be a Star, fill it out, order your sign, nice aluminum sign, and then your neighbors can say, "What is that?" And you can tell them. It's a good conversation starter. So there you go with that. I'll mention it as one of our programs there, the Be a Star Award. I've told you about our sky quality meters, where we've got those displayed on a dashboard now. We have either led or been support on all 24 dark sky places in Texas. We have a ton of resources on our website, and we have put together a consulting project called the BOLD Initiative, Better Outdoor Lighting Decisions, that we would work with businesses, etc., to help them and other organizations. Our first BOLD partner is Bat Conservation International. So that tells you about some of our programs. Go on our website, you'll see more. Together, we can do a lot. We can do a lot. So I will mention also that there are some communities not far from you that are interested in, have already gotten their designation as a dark sky community. There are a couple that are working on it, and it's just starting the process. You might want to get involved with some of those. You could even talk to Georgetown, because it doesn't mean that every light in the community is good and you have a great sky in that community. A dark sky community means a community that all new lighting is, follows regulations to keep them controlled. They do education on dark sky lighting, have events, that sort of thing. A lot of educational work. If we'd love for you to join DarkSky Texas, these are some things you can do with us. And let's see, I was going to see if I had that picture. We have a new program. Some of you, if any of you are photographers, might be interested in helping us with. We have, be delivered either tomorrow or Monday, an all sky, top of the line, all sky photography equipment. Have you seen the pictures where it looks like a big circle? You're seeing the whole sky. We will be taking those and have output that's research grade. That'll be fun to have. And we do partnerships too, so I can talk to some of y'all about, if you want to be one of our partners.